Welcome to this new video, where we're going to talk about Forza Horizon 6. And yes, once again, because yesterday, on February 10th, 2026, the game's developers released another new video. It's a short 30-second clip that was posted, in which they continued to show some new locations on the map, but also teased the return of certain features. So today, we're going to analyze this short clip together to try to get as much information out of it as possible. Knowing that it's entirely possible that this kind of clip will become more frequent in the coming days, this is already the second one in 2 days. We should probably expect that communication around the game will intensify in the coming weeks, up until the game's release. And as time goes on, we'll likely get more short clips like this that will showcase a detail or a specific feature. So today, we're going to talk about all of that in this video, of course. And by the way, speaking of buying or selling Forza Horizon 6, we've gotten some pretty interesting numbers from Steam, which show that the excitement around the game is actually quite huge. You should know that Forza Horizon 6 is on the wishlist of 2,600,000 players on Steam alone. The wishlist is basically when you turn on notifications about a game, you get a little alert when the game comes out, for example, or when there's big news about it. 2,600,000 on the wishlist is huge, just on Steam. That's 100,000 more than Resident Evil Requiem, which comes out in a few days and is already a very anticipated game. Horizon 6 still has 3 months left to promote. And impressively, 4 to 5 times more players have wishlisted it compared to Horizon 5 before its release. That doesn't necessarily mean Horizon 6 will have 4 to 5 times more players, but it still suggests a huge commercial success, especially since we know that already 220,000 copies of the game have been sold on Steam, just on Steam, and that it's mostly premium versions that have been sold. It generated around $15 million for Microsoft in just a few days. Since I remind you that pre-orders for Horizon 6 have only been open since January 22, 2026, and there are still more than 3 months left for the developers to promote the game. So, it's going to be huge. So we're going to talk about these new images of Forza Horizon 6 that you can find on your end if you want, on the official Forza Horizon pages on social media. So, we have 30 seconds of clips. We're going to analyze this clip shot by shot, knowing that this one seems to focus on the biomes, forests, and countryside. While the clip that was released yesterday was more focused on the coastal biomes, on the small fishing villages. So here, it starts with a shot where, honestly, there's not much to say except that it's very beautiful. It's a bamboo forest. Apparently, according to the comments we can see on social media, it would be very much inspired by the Arashiyama forest, which is in the central, let's say southern part of Japan. Let's be very honest, there's little else to add about this sequence, except it's beautiful, the vegetation is dense, the wind moves the leaves at the bottom, and there are nice light effects. With the sun shining through the bamboo leaves in that kind of little mist that glows, it's really cool. We have a second shot, and for that one, there's a bit more to say. This shot really reminds me of Horizon 4. Share your thoughts in the comments. But overall, I think the art direction of Horizon 6 in terms of rendering and color, especially in the countryside, really reminds me a lot of Forza Horizon 4. So, what do we have that's interesting here? Because actually, it's just a plain with a road. On the right, there's a small sign with cafe written at the bottom. By the way, you should know that the 3 characters, the 3 katakanas, above the word cafe, also mean cafe in Japanese. So maybe it's just for decoration, or maybe it's just that there's a cafe restaurant on that road. But in my opinion, personally, I think it's more of a little teaser, maybe even confirmation, that in Horizon 6 we'll see the return of cars and coffee. We had a season with that name in Forza Horizon 5 where they added a cafe to the map. It was at the roundabout, right next to the highway, and it was a place where you could simply take pictures with your car. In the background, there was a kind of small, well-lit showroom, a white showroom like you see in commercials. It was also a place that served as a meeting point for players who would gather there for small meetups. We all know that in Forza Horizon. Many features are tested in updates before being permanently added to upcoming franchise games. There's a good chance the coffee shop tested in Horizon 5 will become a permanent mode in Horizon 6. We might also see several small studios or coffee shops across the map for taking car photos, but above all, organizing gatherings in these places, since in Horizon 6 the gathering mode will return, a bit like we knew back in the days of Horizon 3. So, this kind of place will really be a great base for that. Other than that, there's not much to say about this image. Then we have an overhead shot in the forest, which maybe doesn't serve much purpose except to show the size of the map. It's true that it looks huge, so I still think that the mountains we see in the background, the big snowy mountains, are probably going to be the limits of the map, unless the developers decide to really make an island for this Forza Horizon, which would be completely surrounded by water, and that would be the edges of the map. We know that this kind of mountain is often used in Forza games to mark the boundaries of the areas players can access. So I think that, in the background, that's the edge of the map, and honestly, it looks huge. By the way, I'm going to skip a shot to show you another one, which matches pretty well with this one, where you can also see the size of the map. Once again, in the background, there are snow-covered mountains, which I think will once again be the borders. It looks pretty massive. Don't forget that these forest areas are just one of the biomes in Forza Horizon 6. And right here, just in these two shots, there are probably several dozen square kilometers. Let's go back to the previous shot. We have a little shot with some rain, and it's true that I've seen quite a few people on social media saying there's a problem with this image. Because indeed it's raining, but there aren't any puddles. At least not really. So, we'll see how it turns out in the final game. There are probably things that will be improved on the graphics side by May. And especially since at the bottom of the screen, it says it's in-engine footage and not in-game footage. It's not quite the same thing when we have trailers that are in-engine. In general, these are trailers that are made a long time in advance and don't necessarily represent the current visual quality of the game, nor, of course, the quality we'll have at the game's release. Aside from that, there's not much else to say about this image, except the fog is a bit thicker than in Horizon 5. And the famous red roads, which are kind of iconic, give off a bit of a mountain road vibe, a road for Touge. Next, we have this beautiful shot with the sakura trees. You can be sure that on day one, at this spot, there will be hundreds of photos taken. And finally, we have a pretty cool shot. You can also see really far, with Mount Fuji in the background. In the foreground, there's an area that really reminds me of a large downhill section in Horizon 5 along the mountainside, matching a Pioneer. Since there's a clear road in the middle, I think this will be a Pioneer zone in Horizon 6. Interestingly, if you look at mid-distance, there's a round object in the center. It is an Apple Park, even though it closely resembles it. I think it's probably the Forza Horizon 6 stadium, which we hadn't seen or heard about until now. So, the stadium, we might feel indifferent about it, except that in Horizon 5 it was really a place where a lot of things happened. For starters, it was a place where you could launch mini-games, like Infected or King. Basically, let's say the tag modes, where you had to tag other players to win. So there's a good chance that if there's a stadium in Forza Horizon 6, you'll be able to launch those game modes there. And that more or less confirms the presence of those game modes in Horizon 6. And secondly, the stadium in Horizon 5 was really the place that got the most makeovers, season after season. At one point, it was a stadium with an oval for NASCAR, then it was a drift track, then it was an area for Taj or Gymkhana. It changed maybe 10 times in the game. It's entirely possible that in Horizon 6 it'll be the same thing, with a stadium that gets regular makeovers. The only question I have, the only thing I find a little strange about this plan, is that apparently it's genuine. Maybe the National Stadium? First, I don't think it looks like it at all, and second, it's really out of the way. Usually the National Stadium is in the city, but here it's in the middle of nowhere. So there could be multiple stadiums on the Forza Horizon 6 map, or maybe the National Stadium wasn't referenced, or perhaps there's another interesting explanation. Maybe it'll be part of the decorations in Estate mode. Estate mode will be a huge area that you can customize to personalize your house. Who knows? Maybe among the customization decorations, we'll have a stadium. So, let me know what you think about these new images. The more I see Forza Horizon, the more I wish I could fast forward time and sleep until the month of release. In any case, I hope you enjoyed this little video. If you did, feel free to leave a like and subscribe for the next ones. Because, of course, I'll be following Forza news very closely. And coming up, why not follow me on Twitch for the next live streams? There will be one tomorrow, by the way, so don't hesitate to come follow me and subscribe. If you want to give the channel a little boost for free, it's always appreciated. See you tomorrow for the next video and the next live stream. Bye.